Millie's avatar makes a lovelorn Guy glitch off routine. Mauser and Keys try to terminate Guy as he stalks Millie while she slews for evidence of a stolen code in the game. Millie breaks into Keys' flat for help. Then she gives Guy tips on leveling up. Guy levels up and goes viral with goodness. Keys reluctantly helps Millie's mission and she gets saved by Guy. Romance blooms into a kiss just as Keys figures out that Guy is a sentient algorithm from the original game that Antoine plans to purge in a sequel. Millie and Keys revive a white Guy and work together to defeat Antoine and save the day.
Hello, darling. This is Writerzeye. Thanks for watching. You are supporting my writing habit, and if you love spy-fi and sci-fi trilogies, subscribe for your free copy of Volume 1. See details linked below.
With the excessive use of special effects to prop up a tenuous plot and a rancid story, F9 has to be one of the worst films of 2021, especially in terms of writing convention and overall execution, while Free Guy, on the other hand, might just be the film that makes us stand up and clap for special effects that made such a film possible. Special effects that are completely out of place in one, but never too much in the other. And Mr. Gossip Girl has come a long way from the Green Lantern, hasn't he? And Free Guy is almost good enough to wipe out the memory of that horrendous Hitman's Bodyguard sequel we did. He's gone from bollocks to dog's bollocks in no time at all, hasn't he? Brilliant, Mr. Reynolds. You made Deadpool proud. Finish him. Fatality. So all right. Mr. Reynolds has found a little spot in the corner of the club and he's doing the same dance move over and over with his shtick, ain't he? But it's still a good dance move and we're not here to bash him, are we? We're here to see if flowers are due for the writing. And indeed, Free Guy started with something that neither F9 nor FX had. A brilliant script, that is, written by professionals with a healthy respect for writing. What are you whinging about? Look, some Hollywoodians usurp the roles of other professionals at their own peril, at the risk of ruining a franchise, I might add. Especially writing roles, man. No respect at all. Everyone thinks they can write, man. I mean, you are professional directors, but your writing is absolute pants, darling. Pants! Rubbish! Why not start with a professionally crafted script like Free Guy did? Well, sadly, when shooting starts on films with half-baked scripts, it's becoming a dying truth that a film gets a good start if you start with good writing. And to guide my own writing,
from books and writing gurus I donated money to, I got almost 300 tips that I distilled down to 20 essential guiding tenets, 10 of which I deem utterly unbreakable, such that to break 3 or more of these unbreakable laws invariably breaks a film. I call these cinema laws, partly inspired by cinema sins and cinema wins, except we try to focus on the craft of writing, which should be sorted out long before the camera rolls. So, garbage or gold? Let's find out.
to say you have to check your brain in at the door for this film is dismissive. It's simplistic because if you take a closer look at the inner workings vis-a-vis the writing, you might be surprised at what you find. It does have some dead spots where the ball doesn't bounce, but not enough to ruin it. The other word tossed around by critics is derivative. If the whole landscape looks familiar holistically, it's because it is. Lego Movie, Wreck-It Ralph, The Matrix, Tron, Ready Player One, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because what others have done, Free Guy managed to do it differently and possibly slightly better. To be honest, if you call this film Ready Player 2, it wouldn't really be that far off from the truth, but derivative is a stretch, man. It could easily be a risky sequel to Ready Player 1. Both are penned by the same Zach Penn. Both involve the realization of unrequited love hidden in plain sight within a puzzle of ones and zeros. Yes, when Molotov merely falls in love with Guy, she's actually falling in love with the artificially intelligent digital embodiment of her partner Keys. Because Guy, even by his own admission, is only a love letter. So while we witness a digital snog between Molotov Girl and Guy, that was actually foreshadowing the kiss at the end where Millie finally shifts the affection from Guy onto Keys, where it belongs. I like the names too. Millie is a hard worker, working hard at the mill for their validation, but Keys is the key to her success and the key to her love. Keys. And they have Mouser to help too. The set design is remarkable, as is the sound design and cinematography. Not to mention there's clever writing in there with multifunctional elements that enrich a subtle theme that saturates 7 other themes in the film like no other. And after the following testimony, the charges of derivative and brain-dead stoner gamer flick will be dismissed. Guy inhabits a binary two-tone flat, quite befitting, with a goldfish being the anomalous color, sugar oats for breakfast with stacked dominoes ready to fall on one side, and a metronomic calisthenics figure swinging in perpetuity. He says hello to his fish, unaware of what he's looking at or talking to. Talk about a scene that is meta to another level. Microcosm, that is. This is the entire film in one scene. There is not a wasted frame in this film. Every frame says something on so many levels. Simple and it's gorgeous, man. Gorgeous. With Mariah crooning sweet fantasy in the background, Buddy telling him that the woman of his dreams is a fantasy is such brilliant negative irony here that doesn't strike you till later on when the film's negative gets developed. It's like a delayed bomb that explodes in your mind later on. Page 6 to page 7 is very efficient and jam-packed. We meet Molotov Girl and her objective is immediately clear. find proof or evidence of a secret level. But is this our central question? She pays off the masked player and offs him. The mission is now find clip 56, the same number of the coffee shop. Clues, darling, clues. The coffee shop that sells Millie's tasting coffee. Medium coffee, cream, 2 sugars. And in our Groundhog Day moment, Molotov Girl knows the lines of the NPCs on her route. Then Guy meets Molotov Girl and we have our catalyst of sorts triggering the glitch noticed by Molotov and cue the film-long pursuit that isn't blunted by the train of death. Molotov Girl is connected to Millie quite quickly and efficiently, and with the shop attendant being a manky cow, we are immediately on her side, in her shoes, rooting for her, seeing her obsession with that desire to right a wrong and win her lawsuit. Stick it to the man. A writer's job is to show us the rabbit, the carrot, and the big bad wolf, so we can fear for and start rooting for the rabbit, preferably between pages 5 and 10 in screenplay parlance. As far as the main storyline, the writers gambled here and went with a twin storyline, and it bloody well worked, didn't it? To perfection, I might add. Twin storylines, if not done properly, can dissipate tension or ramp up tension if switches are done on cliffhangers. On my first viewing, I remember thinking, we're on page 10, we have a few questions and objectives for our characters, but we still don't have a solid central question. Or do we? Jumping the gun, or unaware as one might say, I marked it down as a flaw initially, but scratched it out with the payoff because that was it on page 5. Guy and Buddy on the floor, nose to nose, discussing the woman of his dreams. And he proceeds to describe Millie renting space in his brain. This is a ticking bomb. Boy kind of meets girl, and we're off to the glitches. The fuse is lit. Okay, alright. So the central question at this point is, will Guy get his girl, yeah? But another question popping up later on is, will Keyes get Millie? And what masquerades as the main storyline and the belated central question of, will Millie get the MacGuffin? Will the little man beat the evil corporation? Are actually just details of the same love storyline, one being digital, the other real. But we don't know this till later when the bomb detonates, because we are unaware, truly unaware, a salient thematic element. And from a first viewing point of view, the real-world storyline is given a back seat to the free guy chasing Molotov storyline. But we eventually become aware, we realize that we have twins. 2 sides of the same story, digital and physical. Clever writing. This enlightenment injects dramatic irony. It leverages the inherent insight that whets our anticipation and ratchets up the tension. Overall, we realize we have a weave of a story that sprints in the digital world and skates in reality. Not an easy rising task, but we needed everything that the writers laid down here. The brick, the mortar, and the plaster in this brilliant writing. Believe me, this subtle but obvious theme is the best part of this film, but more about that later. Guy wakes up still glitchy from yesterday's encounter, and here comes the cappuccino in the Matrix. We go Dutch angle. The entire coffee shop goes spinning beach ball, but Guy wills under the gun, restoring apparent normalcy, but clearly the glitch isn't gone. It's infectious. The reflection of that encounter stays with the barrister even as Guy exits. And Guy, as we can see in the reflection, is still under the gun with that tank on his tail. Reflections. And boom, back in the bank, that glimpse of Molotov Girl triggers him, and we're off to the races and a few of my favorite lines in the film. Waste that mother farmer, smoke his horse. Such cuteness, spewing such filth. How I love that line. Mouser and Keyes go in to fix the glitch, and a hilarity ensues with all the illusions. But beyond that, why does this scene work so well? What makes this scene, especially the opening part, so effective? Dramatic irony. Extended dramatic irony, I might add. Our knowledge of that so subtle but obvious theme is at work here. We were unaware, but now we're aware that both parties here are unaware, and it's hilarious. This scene does not work, not as well, not without dramatic irony. And ladies and gentlemen, je vous présente one of my favorite scenes. Writing gurus always tell you to relegate flashbacks to the in case of fire break glass usage, yeah? But how about that creative and almost invisible flashback? The flashback device here was wonderful and multifunctional, as it turns out to be an actual press piece that, breaking and entering, Millie is watching, reliving the glory of the past, and giving us backstory among other things. We have a callback to medium coffee, cream 2 sugars that gets her up in the morning, clearly programmed in by Keyes, who refers to himself as an author who uses code to say what he cannot articulate in real words. We see the glimmer of love in Keyes, and sees hopes and dreams of love squashed by an oblivious and driven Millie. And in a few deft strokes of the pen as a bewildered Keys enters the flat to pause what turns out to be a recording, the current state of their relationship is set with ensuing verbal joust that is, yes, expositional, but brilliantly laced with conflict and thus not invisible. Well done, man. Well done. It's brilliant writing, man. Well acted, well directed, properly motivated. It might seem like, oh, hang on a minute, a new storyline, but it's quickly tied to the clip Molotov Girl acquired earlier on. So much happens in this one scene. Bravo, standing ovation, man. This is writing, standing ovation again. This is pure skill. Millie goes back in, followed by Guy, who, with a few pointers from her, goes to leveling up. Millie enters the stash house, gets in trouble, and the entire sequence here is almost too good. I mean, that shot is, well, a film typically has one money shot, but Free Guy has a cornucopia of money shots, man. 40 minutes in and we see the face of God, the man, Antoine, the antagonist, and it does appear to be a card-carrying member of the arsehole clan, man. This ice cream scene is so relatable. You unwittingly impress a girl by just being yourself, yeah? Taste the success and then actually trying to impress the girl, only to muck it up completely. I can't be the only bloke in the world that that's happened to. Anyway, midpoint and the story turns on its head as Millie and Keys get on the same page and have to enlist Guy's help by breaking his illusion. She does and shatters his world. Buddy tells Guy that helping someone you love is as real as it gets. He gets clip 56 to Millie, and the good news, bad news axis swings the other way as Antoine orders reboot, which makes Guy forget everything. Keys prompts Millie to try again, and she revives him with a mouth to mouth. The good news, bad news continues as the film races towards the climax. It's not perfect, but it didn't have to be. This film is a Yana Space film. On some levels, it's very unique, if not original, yet superficially, it's not original, but that seems to be the point, as it screams that very notion from the treetops. It's a rambunctious, frolicking jamboree. A gaming galore of gags and references stitched together so competently and so well that it hits the demographic it targets dead in the eye. It's a film that doesn't care if you don't like it. It's a Zudergarten, uncaring about the critic's obstreperous inner child throwing a tantrum or a fit, and it will gladly tell the critic to sod off without compunctions, I might add. Free Guy is a flamboyant flick with a delightful excess of the good stuff, and it needs to be. It's its own matrix with Guy being the guy, the Neo to free all artificial intelligence, allowing them to blossom and be all they can be. Or it's the robot from iRobot freeing the others. It's its own Truman Show with Guy being the last to be aware, and we have a bit of Groundhog Day and Edge of Tomorrow in there. The fight scenes are believable. Even when Millie kicks bigger men all over the place, our disbelief is utterly suspended because, of course, it's a video game. The characters are distinct and well drawn, and the pacing is on point, jerking us up and down with increasing amplitude till we're smacked up against the ceiling and through the floor. Combined with the in-your-face set design and diegetic music, it gave us plenty of giggles. The sound design was great. Wrecking Ball, I'm about to ruin, and it just plays through all the cinema laws. The only questions I had were, how did she trigger him at first sight the first time they met, but failed to after the reboot? Did we need a combination of her singing Sweet Fantasy or what? Secondly, there's no button for kissing, so how did she suddenly know how to kiss him? But since she almost inadvertently kissed him earlier on, I had to strike that one as well. Best of all, the writers didn't cheat. And when I'm saying they went through a cinema glow, I'm not joking, man. Deploying a twist without a setup is a sin, a cheat we all groan at. But the crumbs of twists was perfectly executed with the crumbs all over the place, man. Reflections, cappuccino, a waterfall made with letters, Venetian blinds. And this brings us back to the biggest reason why this film works so well. It's what makes the film tick. And other than the subtle theme that we're finally going to talk about, there are 7 distinct themes in there that I'm quite sure you noticed. Free will versus determinism, identity and self-awareness, artificial intelligence and humanity, corporate greed versus creative integrity, love and connection, escapism and virtual reality, heroism and choice. But that central, subtle, but obvious theme permeates and dominates all. So let's back our way into it, yeah? In the beginning, you think nothing of it, but Guy is incredibly aware and terribly unaware at the same time as he plays with the Venetian blinds as if he knows something of importance is there. And there is. In the reflections, a portal to another world. They set that up properly, man. No cheating. And that's the key. That's the whole key to the hidden city, man. The bound calisthenics figures poised to trip the first domino, but Guy is unaware of this spatial arrangement because he doesn't have the perspective to see this. He's unaware. He's unaware. He's a ghost in a machine about to be ghosted. He's a bug about to be debugged. But being sentient, he averts disaster, but not before leaving a lingering reflection that infects other NPCs. He is so unaware that Millie has to tell him how to level up, but all of us are unaware that leveling up is possible through good deeds until he does it. Okay, alright, a few references will elude the non-gamer, but contrary to what naysayers are whinging about, you don't have to be a gamer or know what NPC stands for because they make it accessible. If you get all the references, the film is richer for it, and if you don't, you still enjoy it, and you've got something in common with the characters. You're unaware. Get over here. The talk about his skin goes way over his head because he's unaware. Mauser and Keyes are also unaware, so from extended metaphor, we go to extended dramatic irony. We're so gagging for him and everyone to become aware. I care about you, but you need to leave. Unaware of their love, unaware of the declaration. Yes, that is the subtle but obvious theme, isn't it? Unaware. All the characters are in their own personal Truman Show. From the small fishbowl, he moves Goldie, the sentient anomaly, aka himself, into a massive aquarium, an inadvertent symbolic mirroring of the authentic plot progression. Inadvertent because he's unaware. Antagonist 1 or Ant 1 is just ridiculous and over the top. He stands out in such a bad way thinking he's cool, but he's clueless. So unaware, or perhaps he doesn't care. Keyes examines Guy, but remains unaware of what he wrote, despite looking it dead in the eye. In a way, it's an ode to all of us, unaware of our own potential as he stares us in the face. The motif itself hits on so many levels because most of the critics seemed incredibly unaware of this recurring thematic element, or perhaps they simply chose to ignore it. Why are you doing this? I felt trapped in his fishbowl, and even though he's in a big aquarium now, he still feels trapped or stuck. This is Keyes and Millie Rusk finishing each other's sentences, but they're still unaware. The secret place is Keyes' heart with ice cream and a swing, the things Millie loves. And of course, they connect over ice cream because Guy is Keyes. He's a love letter to Millie, who has been horribly aware of the love of her life from day one. Had a relationship end over bubblegum ice cream. It's quite possible that Keyes was aware of that relationship and made sure he loved it so their relationship could start, but he was unaware of how to start it. Vintage Mariah, bubblegum ice cream and swings. Clearly a love letter, yeah, but she's unaware of it and oblivious to the author that she friend-zoned. When I was younger, I was obsessed with swings. Surely she must be aware at this point. We all are. We're all asking that central question and rooting for their transformation. When she comes face to face with Keyes, who's really her guy, she's woefully unaware. They should be celebrating, but they're in conflict because they're both unaware. The first time I kiss a guy, he's not even real, but he is, and he's sitting right in front of you. But again, unaware. They're both unaware. There's no button for that. Unaware. Keyes is aware of how to find his way to Millie with words, just like he admitted in the interview he prefers code. But Guy, product of his code, does, and he found the button. And Millie fights to keep the love she thinks she has found, unaware she had it in her lap all along. The chemistry between these two is as electrical in the real world as it is in the digital. I love all their scenes. It's why you can never leave. Free City slams the Truman Show and Dark City right in our faces. Even as Molotov Girl and Guy bicker, it's as if it's Millie and Keyes bickering. And there's that binary metaphor that permeates the entire set. The patterns on the building are binary, ones and zeros are everywhere you look, ones and zeros, and the clock design, the rectangular designs are actually digital zeros that both define and confine the characters and their space. There's so many good things about this film, the acting, the production design, the direction, the cinematography, and of course, the special effects. I loved it most because of the writing and the twin storyline. There is no main plot and subplot if you consider the layers of this film, and that, the twin storyline, the weaving of themes twisted like a caduceus pretzel, is what makes it somewhat unique, if not entirely original. This makes it immune to the charge of brain-dead stoner gamer flick. It only dons that moniker if you're not thinking. All the characters are in their own Truman Show. They are all unaware. Even we start out unaware until the dramatic irony injection. From then on, it's just us watching the arc of transformation from oblivion to awareness. Remember when I said it took what others did and did it better, yeah? Well, name any other film or gamer film that has a twin storyline and a layered hidden theme of awareness in it as its pulse. Go on. The unaware theme is the lifeblood of this film. The film ends when everyone becomes aware, right down to the gamers realizing that Guy is AI. Keyes becomes aware, triggering Millie to become aware, and she triggers Guy to become aware, and he instigates awareness in Buddy and all the other NPCs, inducing chaos so the Tsunami staff and finally Mauser become aware of Antoine's fraud and idiocy. Antoine's misguided response makes the world aware of his steps when they can see the hidden program, and Millie nails it by making Antoine aware that it's over. And by accepting the deal, she's trying to make sure that she's aware of what she's given up, but she is aware. The only thing that she's unaware of, love, finally drops in her lap to end the film. The film is so self-aware and unpretentious. It's very clever in an invisible way because it doesn't stop and show you how clever it is. It's there for you to enjoy on whatever level you connect on. We could have lingered a little bit longer on Millie and Keyes, savoring the realization of the sweet, sweet fantasy before swiftly moving on to bookend the film with a reunion of Buddy and Guy. I would have ended this on a parallax or orbiting shot of Million Keys kissing or getting bubblegum ice cream on the promenade. Either way, it was a fun, respectable piece of work. What did you think about Free Guy? Did it rock your boat or come in like a wrecking ball? Comment below. Anyway, you just supported my writing habit.
Subscribe so I can thank you properly with a free copy of Volume 1 of my sci-fi trilogy, TCP.
Thanks to you, I'm converting 25 screenplays into novels. They're all sci-fi, some of them are trilogies, and the first volumes are free to subscribers.
If perchance you're not the reading type and just like the content, thank you all the same. Your simple act of watching, liking, and subscribing gives my life meaning, and I want to thank you for it. So do subscribe for this, more, and other rewards that might be coming your way. Thanks for watching.
There are a few names out there that put bums in seats, yeah? I mean, you mention the name and we are automatically going to see the film. Maverick, Mission Impossible. I had to see those in IMAX, so yes, Tom Cruise is one of those names for me. But it will surprise you that I have something really horrible to say about Dead Reckoning Part 1. And if you're a fan, it might make you cross. If you ever thought film school was a waste of time, you're probably right, but for different reasons. Dead Reckoning Part 1 is replete with beginner writing mistakes that professors beat out of you in year 1. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what it is? Watch this next to find out.